Welcome, poker internet. Welcome, poker community. We're back for some more, and it is time. My goodness, this is a big day. It's a big day in this match. A lot's going to be decided here today. My name is Kevin Martin. Welcome back. 2 hours of coverage here today, and I got to introduce you to one of the best to do it. My friend on the show with me today, Ricky, rated GTO. Ricky, how you doing today?
Hello, friends. It's nice to be back, and it's amazing to be in the commentary booth with you once again, Kevin.
Yes, this is a very special day. We're watching the players. Daniel has officially sat down. Doug Polk's going to be jumping in there in 2 minutes, I assume. As soon as cards are in the air, we will get there as well. But let's set the stage, Ricky. My goodness, this is a really big day. For those of you who are just joining us, we're catching up to this challenge. Two legendary poker people, Daniel Negreanu, Doug Polk, have decided to battle for 25,000 hands heads up. And Ricky, this is your format. You were, maybe not specifically a heads up, but you play deep stack cash games for a lot of money on the internet all the time. This is your bread and butter.
Absolutely. I started off playing a lot of 6-max cash games, ran it up from literally 1 cent, 2 cent, all the way up to some of the highest stakes that's available to me. And yeah, heads up, definitely a very fun format. There's nowhere to hide, as most people like to say. You're in there, you're battling, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Nowhere to hide, indeed. And round two, it looked like Daniel Negreanu didn't have many places to hide. Let's sum up the results. So the first time these guys played, they played 200 hands of live poker. And boy, Daniel came away strong. He won $117,000 as the underdog to the match. As a Daniel fan, I was excited. His fans were excited. But then we jumped online on Friday, and my goodness, that did not go Daniel's way. He took a big loss. Doug Polk won $218,000 in that Friday session. So summed up, in total, they played 624 hands, and Daniel is down $101,000. It's a big day, especially if you're a Daniel Negreanu fan. You're really looking for him to show some pep in his step. It looked like he had a bit of a tough session, and guess what? Might as well jump into the action. Doug Polk has sat down as well. Here we go, man. Here we go.
Let's do it.
Let's do this indeed. Okay, so Ricky, what are your thoughts on the play that happened online on Friday?
For the results that happened, we saw that Daniel lost over $200,000, but in the whole grand scheme of things, that's only about 5 buy-ins, and that's a lead that's very easy to come back from if you're Daniel. So you can't think too much about the results. I thought he played fairly well throughout the entire session, and we're going to see how these two players adapt to their opponent's play styles as this match goes on. We're going to see them do a lot of things a little differently than the first 2 sessions that they had. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the adjustments that both of these players make.
Really excited to see the adjustments. Daniel does have a bit of a team. I think both these guys have players in their corner that are helping them go through hands, go through the matches, and help them improve. I want to see what adjustment Doug Polk makes, as well as Daniel Negreanu. And again, we always talk about this. This is a marathon, 25,000 hands. We played 624. And if my math is correct, we're about 2.5% way through this challenge. So think about it. In terms of a marathon, we're about, kilometer 2, kilometer 3 here. We still got a very, very, very long ways to go.
Yeah, there are going to be a lot of big swings. It's very easy for either player to be down 10, 20, even 30 buy-ins and still have a chance to come back in this match. So, of course, you don't want to get out to a poor start and give up a few buy-ins, but in both of these players' minds, as long as there are still hands remaining to be played, they're going to think that they have a chance to win this battle.
But if you were plugged into social media in the poker community, if you were following the thread, it looks like they might just be getting going here right away. A lot of people on poker Twitter are pulling the Vince Carter, it's over. A lot of people are saying, wrap this puppy up. I'm just saying, wait up, man. We're just getting going. To all the people who are hating on DNegs out there for his bad Friday session, I hope we're going to see a different result. And here we go. Cards are in the air. And this time, look at this. They're both on the same side of the table. How beautiful is that? Both starting with 40K starting stacks. At the end of that Friday session, Doug Polk was sitting with 200K on both tables. It's going to be really interesting to follow. And we see our first 3-bet from the left for Daniel here. Oh, I feel like this is a very deciding match because on Friday we would agree that Doug Polk, ran a little bit better, but I feel like he also played considerably better than Daniel. So we're going to have to see if the adjustments are made. And already large check raise from Doug Polk on the right. Doug Polk going by micro stakes, of course. He's sitting on the top on both our tables. Daniel Negreanu representing the Canadian flag. As a fellow Canadian, I love to see that. He's on the bottom of both the tables here.
Both players still using that very consistent opening sizes that they've had. Daniel going with the 2.5x open to $1,000, and Doug anywhere from $900 all the way up to $1,000 for his opening sizes.
Yeah, and talk to me. I'm a tournament player. I really haven't followed the thread of heads up poker. Is this just standard? Do you just always open to the button to this side, 2.5x? Is that just what people do with the high stakes heads up?
Yeah, anything from a min raise up to 3 times the open. It really depends on what hands both players decide to raise. If they're raising a wider range of hands, then sure, they can go with the smaller size. And if they're a little tighter of a player, then maybe they want to open a little bit bigger.
5K, our first river decision, 5K pot on the left. Daniel in position. He does fire out a big size. This is something I want to see as well. The river played a big impact on Friday. Doug Polk won on so many rivers, whether he got that patent overbet through. Daniel showed down a lot of weak hands, let Doug take some pots with third, fourth pair. So I'm hoping to see some clean decisions from Daniel on the river here. And here he bets 3,700 into 5K. Gets called. That looks like a nice value bet from Daniel. Boom. Great to see that out of the gate. Gets a nice size called there with 2 pair, 10s and 8s.
That's a very good value bet by Daniel there. A lot of times you see a board run out that way. If I don't have a 10, maybe I don't bet. But very smart to understand that an 8 is good enough to go for value.
And he went for a large size. He had an 8 low kicker, and he still went for a juicy 75% size. And he's back to it. So good start for Daniel on the left here. We see a 3-bet. River spot on the right here. Guys, thank you for joining us today. We're on the GG YouTube channel. If this is your first time here, go ahead and hit that subscriber button. Every time these two play, we're going to have coverage on this channel. This is a great place to follow this action. A couple pots growing here. This is something we've seen. This has been Daniel's MO. The small size on the left. After he 3-bets pre, he usually goes for that small, what is that, quarter pot, 20%, little 1,600 bet. He did that live. He did that Friday, and he's doing it again today.
Yeah, we see Daniel use that 20% size quite often in both single race pots and 3-bet pots. Overall, on the flop, it doesn't matter too much if you use a smaller bet strategy or a larger bet strategy. It's how you follow it up on turns and rivers that will really determine what your win rate is in heads-up battles like these.
And here we go. I mean, this is a tool that Doug Polk knows very well. The overbet on the river. Let's get a count going. How many times does he overbet the river? He overbets it here, gets called. Ooh, and trip 5s. A big bet paid off on the river. He gets it through. I wonder what Daniel called with there. We'll pull that up for the replay perhaps later. Advantage Polk on that river card gets a big 9K bet paid off. Ooh, big pot on the left. Daniel taking a tool from Doug Polk, and here he goes with the overbet. 17K into 11.5. Very similar board as to the one that just happened on the right with the 2 5s out there.
I love seeing Daniel put in these overbets in his strategy. He decided to go with a pretty small bet on the flop, and in order to get a lot of value for some of your bigger hands, this is definitely the way to do it. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Daniel have some bluffs for this sizing too. Something with fairly no showdown value. Go for this 1.5 times the pot sizing.
He gets it through. We'll never know. We did not see many overbets from Daniel on Friday. Maybe that's an adjustment he made with his team. We see a 3-bet from Doug on the right. Okay, these two have come out firing. Oh, our first 4-bet, my personal favorite, a 4-bet heads up. Daniel Negreanu, 4 bets to 10K on the right table. And he gets that one through. Okay, they're firing. So on Friday's coverage, you guys, we saw 2 all-in pots pre. Both of them went to Doug Polk. Did you see those, Ricky? Pocket 10s versus pocket queens?
Yes, I did see the coverage for both the first and the second session. For a lot of those all-in pre-flop pots, there's not too much hedge, I would say, in how you determine what hands to go all in with. I would say both players are going to be fairly similar in the hands that they choose to do so. And sometimes you just run to a bigger hand and you can't think too much about it. I think Daniel referred to that in his post-game interview where he said, all right, sometimes you just run into queens. A lot of times your opponent is going to fold after 4-betting. You pick up a pretty big pot. So he can't really let that come over too much by saying, oh, I lost a couple of all-in pots pre.
What's your over-under? If we just set a line for all-in pots pre in this match today, the next 2 hours. Wow, is there a super rare occurrence here? How considering how deep they are? What's the line you would set?
Yeah, if both players are about 100 big blinds over that 500-600 hand sample, you should see 2 or 3 all-ins pre. But I feel like a lot of the action is going to come post flop with both of these players.
Absolutely, a little bit of action on the right table. This is a 3-bet pot. Daniel opened the button. Doug Polk 3-bet. Doug Polk checked the ace king 3. And Daniel, with the small size, takes down that juicy pot. Okay, stacks are growing. Both players bought in with 40K. Be interesting to see how deep they get here today. Again, welcome to the coverage, you guys, on the GG YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Martin. I'm joined with my good buddy, high stakes cash game crusher, young wizard, Ricky rated GTO, one of my personal favorites. Great to have him on the show today. And another ace king 3 board on the right table here. Daniel came into today down 100K. Seems like a lot to normal poker players like myself, but as Ricky pointed out, it's a couple of buy-ins. That happens.
Yeah, imagine being down $500 in your 1-2 cash game, right? You feel like you can still have a chance to pull off the session.
Put it in perspective. And the small bet from Daniel Negreanu on the right side here. King of clubs on the turn.
Yeah, this is a lead of 20% by Daniel.
Oh, Doug Polk says no. He sticks in a juicy raise.
In today's meta, you see a lot of these small leads when the middle or the bottom card pairs on a board like ace king 3. Not so much when the flush draw also comes in, but I'm very interested to see what Daniel navigates to showdown here with. And he does have a flush.
And it's good. Shows it down on the river. Nice pot for Daniel. So that was interesting. The turn paired the king, but also the flush came in and Daniel decided to lead. And he got the raise out of Polk. I wonder what Polk raised there with.
If Polk has anything as strong as a hand like ace, queen, ace, jack, definitely warrants a raise there on the turn, especially with the club. Most likely, if he was going for value, then something like a king would be strong enough to raise against Daniel's very small lead.
Would you have ever 3-bet that flop with the 9-4 clubs, or it's just not quite strong enough with the paired board out there?
It all depends on Daniel's overall strategy, but I feel like it's just a little too weak for him to be 3-betting there. It's a spot where I don't expect many leads to begin with, so it's hard to say what he's going to 3-bet with.
And alert on the left table, and overbet from Daniel. I'm telling you, I like how he's come out. I think he really made some adjustments. We didn't see any of this on Friday, and already within the first 10 minutes, we see a couple of overbets being used. I mean, it's very early, but I think Daniel has made some key adjustments here.
Absolutely. We didn't see too much of that in the first 2 sessions where Doug checks back on a flop, and that's a pretty good board for Daniel to choose an overbet size with.
A lot of people are going to be watching this match today because, again, Daniel came out of the gate in that first match with the live hands, and then we went online. 4-bet alert on the right side. Doug Polk with the 4-bet. Snap fold from Daniel. As you can tell, Ricky, the 4-bet makes my ears perk up a little bit. I'm a big fan of the 4-bet in position.
In a heads-up format, because both players are raising so many of their buttons, you're going to see a lot more 3-bets and 4-bets as a result of it compared to your full ring games.
Yeah, let's say we're playing heads up. I open the button. What percent of hands are you 3-betting? What's your clip?
If you're opening to about that 2.5%, 2.5 big blind sizing, then I'm probably 3-betting anywhere from 20 to 25% of my hands. It seems like a lot, but with how much you're opening, there's a lot of dead money in the middle for me to be won in those 3-bet spots.
100%. Speaking of 3-bet spot, on the right side of the table, open 3-bet, flop went check, check. Turn is the queen of clubs. Probably a card that slightly favors Daniel. And there we go with a big bet. $6K into $8K. And a complete brick on the turn. Sorry, excuse me, on the river. 20K in the middle. Oh, big juicy bet. 15K into 20. And surely Daniel does not have
of the pot.
Daniel does not have 10-8 here. He wouldn't have checked the flop. Does he have a lot of king 10s?
He can have 10-8. He can have king 10 as well. You are allowed to check backs.
Unlikely. I would bet you a lot of money that he is probably never has 10-8 here. Oh, check shove from Polk. 38K over the 15. That seems as strong as could be. If this is some sort of sick level bluff here.
This is what we like to call a pretty suicide bluff if he is making it. Daniel bet almost half of his stack on the river, and Doug chooses to go all in for Daniel's last 21,000.
Oh my goodness. Daniel's in the tank here. What a sick spot. Calls with queen 9. It is good. The 2 pair. Doug Polk took the 9-10 and turned it into a suicide bluff. That was a crazy hand. My goodness. Let's pull that up on the replay. Let's run through that one again. An insane bluff from Polk with the 10 in his hand. Let's watch this one again here. My goodness, pot of the day so far. Ricky, what do you think about this bluff on the river?
It was a pretty good hand played by both players here. Daniel going for value with his queen 9, and after getting check raised all in, he was getting a pretty good price to call. And with a hand as strong as 2 pair here, he does decide to make it.
So Daniel bets top 2 on the river, tanks forever, and Doug Polk turned his 9-10 into a bluff with that 10 blocker, blocking the 10-8, blocking the king 10. Wow, Daniel must have been sick when he bet that hand and got shoved. It was obviously a bit of a tough spot. And credit to both players. A really beautiful hand of poker there by Daniel in position, got max value. And it's really creative. I mean, I think that spells to Doug Polk's poker IQ. No, not many normal players find a bluff there on that river for that small size. Very beautiful hand by both players.
The question comes down to if Daniel was betting a hand for value, such as just a queen, like king, queen, ace, queen, would he be willing to call the all-in size? It's much easier when you have 2 pair in your hand, but if his value bet was just a little weaker, would he be willing to call? And Doug was trying to put Daniel to the test there.
Great start for Daniel Negreanu. You see on the right side of the table, he has a 95K stack in Friday's match. I think that's the biggest number I've seen by DNegs' name. A very good start. A wild and fun bluff, man. We're playing some poker in the streets already today. That 9-10 bluff is as spicy as could be.
This is definitely a lot of fun. And for those that are unfamiliar with my work, I've done a bunch of streaming on Twitch. I play a lot of both high stakes cash games and tournaments. I've taken a little step back this year to spend more time with family and things like that, but still putting in a lot of work. And it's amazing to see large high stakes heads up battles still going on.
Yeah, as a person who's seen your journey from the start, Ricky started playing 2-cent small blind, 5-cent big blind, and within 3 years he became one of the best players I knew. So while I was improving at a rate like this, Ricky was had that exponential growth going on. It was really fun to see. River spot on both tables here, 3K in the middle. Doug Polk bets both hands in position. Oh, sorry, he's out of position on the right table. Takes that one down. Three hearts on the left side of the board here. Okay, Doug takes both of those pots. So again, the plan today, guys, is we're going to play about 2 hours. I believe if the players, I mean, they can do whatever they want, but I believe we're scheduled for 2 hours. If they're both feeling it, if they're both feeling good, we might go overtime. As long as they are playing here, we will be live on this channel. 3-bet pot on the right. Doug Polk bets the flop, takes that one down. We will be updating these results about every 15 minutes. Let's talk a bit about a 4-bet strategy. This is something I was wondering. So obviously in heads up, a pretty standard thing we see is button opens, big blind 3-bets. When we 4-bet, obviously we got our good hands. Are we kind of linear? Meaning like, are we 4-betting queen jack suited? Are we 4-betting a hand like ace jack off sometimes? Or are we playing a pretty polarized range, Ricky? Heads up here.
A lot of these strategies that these high stakes guys use, it's a very mixed strategy. Of course, you have those very good hands, the high pairs, the ace kings, some of the suited broadways that are in there. But then you also have some of those trashy hands, you know, something with a high card and a low card in it. It really depends on how these players construct their overall strategy. So we're going to see a pretty vast range of hands that get thrown in that 4-bet range. We've heard both players talk about using a randomizer to determine those decisions. So if they roll a certain number in that randomizer, let's say from 1 to 100, then they can choose to use those hands as a 4-bet.
Oh, big pots on both tables. Doug Polk betting on the left. He takes that one down in the 3-bet pot. Big river spot on the right here. King of diamonds. I have a feeling like we're going to see a bet here from Polk. Almost always. This card just, it screams bet in position here. Is he sizing up the big bet? Okay, no overbet this time. Bet 6K to 9. Snapped by Daniel. Oh, aces for Polk. And a muck from Daniel Negreanu. Aces. We saw Doug Polk's biggest hand on Friday was pocket aces on that 3-8 board, where Daniel made a light turn peel. So aces coming in big here. I haven't seen Daniel Negreanu have the aces yet. But speaking of 4-bet, here on the left we have another 4-bet pot. Daniel Negreanu 4-bets to 10K in position. Ooh, a 4-bet pot going post flop. And Ricky, who has more 10s here in the 4-bet pot?
I would say this board heavily favors the person who 4-bet, which is Daniel in this case, and he continues for that 20% sizing. It's not so much who has a 10 in this spot, because Daniel's going to have some pretty strong hands like aces, kings, queens, all those big pocket pairs that decided to 4-bet too. And it's just pretty tough for Doug to, I would say, have too many 10s in a spot like this. Okay,
4-bet pot. Daniel bets the flop and a call. Less than a pot-sized bet left behind here on the turn. Another small bet here from Daniel Negreanu.
I'm a big fan of Daniel using this small bet on the turn. It allows him to get a little more value with all of those hands that he wants to get value with, and it's a pretty cheap bluff if he does have a bluff in the spot.
That's a super cute size. Okay, big pot, 40K on the left. Showdown. Oh, Daniel getting a couple streets with ace king versus ace queen there. Okay, that's a fun hand. My goodness, 4-bet pre, small bet flop, check call, and he has Doug Polk pipped by 1. Ace king versus ace queen. Big pot for Daniel. Great start for Daniel here today. He's up a little bit on the session. What do you think about that hand, Ricky, with the thin value from ace king?
Yeah, it's a little tough for Doug in his spot on the turn to be calling with that ace queen. Pretty, I would say, break even call there, especially against Daniel. So Daniel able to get a little bit of value for his ace king. He was happy to click the check button on the river and take it to showdown.
Oh, Daniel Negreanu with the overbet on the right side of the table. 14K to 9, kind of a small middling hearts board.
I love seeing these river overbets by Daniel.
I love it, dude. As potentially captain of Team Daniel here. I'm loving what I'm seeing, dude. I really feel like he did some work on the weekend. And, he probably didn't watch NFL Sunday football. He was probably in the lab. And I feel like his team gave him some good advice here. Already 3 or 4 times we've seen an overbet size on the river where we never saw that before. All right, we got that ace-king versus ace-queen hand loaded up here on the replayer. We're going to run it through because this was a fun one. One of the biggest of the day. Of course, while we use the replayer, we will not distract from the live action. Here we go. Daniel opens the button. 3-bet ace-queen, 4-bet call. We see a very interesting 10-10 5 board. Small bet. Check call with the ace-queen from Polk. Turn 4. He goes with another small size here with ace-king. And he does get called by worst hand and check the river. I mean, Ricky, how do you feel about how that ace-king hand was played from Daniel?
Yeah, the turn is probably the closest decision there, whether to bet or check. And either strategy, definitely fine. I am happy to see him check the river, though. He does have a lot of showdown, as we see there, up against a hand like ace-queen. So yeah, overall, very fine hand played by both players.
Mm-hmm. Big 3-bet pot on the right here, and a very wet, textured 9 of hearts on the turn. It's raised 3-bet. Polk bet the flop. Daniel called.
Definitely a card that favors Daniel, so we should see Doug check quite often on this 9 of hearts.
Yeah, you'd think Daniel would have more flushes, more straights here, being the flatter to the 3-better. Ooh, 4th heart pops out there. How do you play these 4 flush boards heads up, Ricky? What kind of sizes do you go for?
For myself, I like to use a pretty polar strategy here. So if I do have a flush, I want to be going for a pretty large size. And if I want to bluff, then I'm going to be using that same large size too.
You hate to see that. Daniel checks back in a weak pair. Wins from Doug Polk there with the queen 9, no heart. Very fun start to the action here today, you guys. These two are scheduled to play all week. We're going to be playing Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Kind of seems like how they have this set up is 2 hours, take a break, take a day off, 2 hours. So this week we're going Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern on this channel. Hit the sub button if you haven't. Again, anytime these two play, there will be coverage on this channel.
I think that is a format that favors Daniel in the long run, just because I feel like Doug has his overall strategy pretty set yet. Daniel, a little newer to the heads up scene, still learning things as he goes. So over the course of the next couple of months, we should see Daniel's game improve quite a bit. And if he is at a slight disadvantage right here early in the match, we should see that coming a little closer together as we get past that halfway point.
Also, you guys, just want to tell you about a little bit of a treat we got. If you're joining us for the coverage today, there's also a free roll going on GGPoker right now, starting in the next 5 minutes. It's free. There's a bunch of tickets being given away. If you want to jump into that, go to the free roll tab on GG, and the password is DNegs. DNegs. Get in there in the next. It's only open for about 4 more minutes, so if you want to get in that, open up the GG lobby, go to the private tab. And yeah, password is DNegs. Starts at the top of the hour, so you got 4 minutes to jump in there. I think there might be a little bit of late reg. It is free. It is available for everybody. A bunch of $55 tickets given away going down. Ricky, you cannot participate in the free roll. You are in the United States of America.
Unlucky.
Run bad, my friend. Run bad. The basement here is always available to you if you want to come up to Canada, of course. That isn't.
You have offered that before. I should take you up on that one of these days.
An open invitation, absolutely. Okay, 3K in the pot on the left here. All right, a spicy start for Daniel Negreanu here. He's up a bit. We are going to keep the results updated. And we're getting word, guys, that free roll, no late reg. No late reg. So you got 3 minutes to get in there if you want to play the free roll. And if you are late, you don't get to play.
Big pot developing on the left here. Daniel bet both the flop and the turn.
Queen
And
high.
look at this here. Queen high is the winner at showdown.
That is something we saw on Friday quite often. Daniel checking back rivers, and then these super weak hands from Doug Polk winning that hand. We gotta load that one up, Ricky. How does Queen high win there when river goes check check?
Yeah, it's hard to imagine what Daniel could be checking back with there on the river.
Let's look at this showdown here on the replayer. Very surprised to see it go check check and then Queen high have the best hand. Oh, 4-bet alert in the top left. 4-bet pot. So bet small. Turn goes bet. Oh, and then check on the river. He just thought he was done with it. Maybe he just thought Polk had some sort of 10 and jack, never folding.
Yeah, Daniel could be finding one of those exploits there where if he thinks Doug won't be folding a jack or a 10, going to shut it down on the river there.
It hurts for Daniel fans to see the Queen high win a big pot there,
absolutely.
though. It hurts pretty badly. Okay, there's a 4-bet pot on the left side that Doug took down with a flop bet. All right, we're getting some updated results here. Daniel Negreanu currently in this session is up 50,000. That means for the match, he's down 50,000.
Already cutting into that deficit by half.
Mm-hmm. Small river pot on the right side here. There we go. There's the brand new results. Daniel up 50K. My goodness. My biggest winning day ever in the history of poker was about 50K. And these two are swinging that amount in the matter of minutes. This is high. This is high stakes. This is high stakes, Ricky. This is up there.
You got to play more 200, 400, Kevin, if you want to have bigger days.
I am years away, potentially. Maybe I'll get there one day, but 200, 400. Oh, overbet here from Doug Polk. I'll tell you what, now that they're both sitting on the same side of the table, this is much easier to follow.
Flop overbet there by Doug on that ace queen high board.
It's one of the better boards to overbet heads up, you know, when your opponent doesn't have the aces, the kings, the queens, the ace king. And again, this is coming from a tournament background where, you know, these large sizings, these wild plays at these big stack depths, this is all kind of new to me, and it's a fun form of poker. I understand why this could be one of the most regarded as the pure skill. Like, this is skill. This is 1 versus 1. As you said earlier, there is no place to hide here.
Yeah, it's fun to see the different strategies that players have now. All the times in the past, you just see everyone with that one size flop bet. And now you see them using a whole range of sizes, from Daniel going with a minimum bet of $400 on a single raise pot to Doug overbetting.
4-bet alert, left table. 4-bet alert. Daniel Negreanu. 4-bets the button to 10K. These sizes are very consistent. And Doug looks like he's interested. Could this be our first 5-bet of the session? No, just a call. Okay, in a 4-bet pot here, what board does this favor, Ricky?
In position. Still the 4-better here.
Yeah.
It really depends on Daniel's overall strategy. If he has a very tight 4-betting range, then he's still going to have the advantage on these kinds of boards. But if he's super wide and Doug chooses to call with only strong hands, then it could favor Doug.
Oh, bets the flop. Turn feels like kind of a brick in a 4-bet pot. Backdoor clubs do come in, and this is a big one. 28K in the middle.
Big action so far to start our day.
Are we going to see Daniel Negreanu with the aces perhaps for the first time in our coverage? Feels like a big hand, man. It feels like an overpair, doesn't it?
Another small bet here on the turn.
What is Doug Polk if he has like some sort of like Jack 10 suit? He's kind of in a tough spot.
Doug's going nowhere with the jack in this spot.
Let's see. There it is. There's the all-in. No snap. Uh-oh, that's bad. That means he's probably not as nutted as we originally thought.
I don't know. We have seen Daniel take a little bit of time with some strong hands before.
Okay, big loss for Daniel Negreanu there. 4 bets, bets the flop, bets the turn. Doug Polk shoves, gets one through there. It'll remain a mystery. You know, no one has hole cards here in this match. It'll remain forever a mystery what they had. Okay, pretty even for the match so far. About 30 minutes in. And again, when we're looking at the scale of how many hands there are to be played here, you know, if there was a progress bar of how far this match has to go, we're like 3% of the way through or something. You know, we are just off the starting line here. But I got to tell you what, I'm very impressed with some of the different sizes Daniel Negreanu is using. It feels more competitive, you know? I feel like on Friday when they first stepped online, Doug Polk smacked him around a bit, and a little bit of that was, you know, the card distribution, but I think we got a dogfight in for us here. $3K pot on the left. Doug checks back in position. King 4, no good. 5, the showdown. What do you think, Ricky? You know, you've been chilling during the pandemic a little bit. You know, maybe if Doug Polk goes on to win this, do you wipe off your shoes? Do you step in the ring to challenge him?
I've been in the WSOP streets over the last couple of months. I was in New Jersey for the World Series that was happening. I know the World Series of Poker moved online this year to WSOP.com and also on GG. So I had a little fun battling in the streets. Yeah.
Tell you what, man, it's happening. I gotta say, the graphics. Let's get an update, WSOP.com. Let's get someone in there. Let's get some new graphics. Let's get some 2020 graphics. And it's just a little, you know, a little harsh on the eyes sometimes.
I think you got to tell your friends at GG to make a big push to come over to America.
Hopefully, dude. Check raise on the left side here by Doug Polk. Dana goes for a big flop C-bet on the 10-8 deuce. Quick float in position, so a large pot here. Interesting turn. Interesting turn. Check, check. Flush comes in. Ooh. You know, does Doug have some sort of 10 that check raised the flop that now it's trying to show down? 9-10. He just had Queen Jack. Jack 8 is good. Okay. What's your thoughts on that one there, Ricky? Doug Polk check raises the Queen Jack with the gut shot, turns the open ender, but decides to check on the king.
Yeah, Doug deciding, I don't have a club in my hand on the river. We're not going to use this one as a bluff this time. And just lets Daniel get the showdown.
And the Jack 8 is good for a 5-figure pot there. The high stakes feud. Daniel versus Doug. Did you buy into the hype when they were setting this all up?
I didn't think it would ever happen, but boy, am I excited that these two decided to come to the felt and battle it out.
When this was announced, I had an interview much earlier where I was like, yeah, they're going back and forth on each, you know, the ramblings on Twitter at times were a little nauseating, and I wasn't that excited. But tell you what, now that we're here and the cards are actually in the air, myself along with everyone else in the poker world, eyeballs are on this indeed. I'm glad it happened.
You don't see that many heads-up battles anymore. It's even tough to find heads-up content on the internet these days. Some of my favorite players like Sauce and Kevin Rabicho, you know, they're famous for having heads-up videos and content online. So those are usually my go-to when I want some poker coverage to watch.
Us tournament players, man, this is a unique form of poker. It's very rarely that you get to the final two in a tournament. It is beautiful to watch these. You got to get in there. You got to get in there with the 10-4 offsuits. You got to VPIP. 3-bet from Daniel on the right side of the table.
We see Doug move to that $950 opening size now, a little bit bigger now that both players are 150 big blinds deep.
This 2 Broadway flop seems like a good flop for Daniel, being the 3-better. And there it goes with his patented small size on the flop. Doug Polk not going to have many folds versus this size. And he does continue. Deuce on the turn. 12K in the middle. Another small size here in a 3-bet pot.
I'm a little more surprised to see the small bet on this turn card here. Daniel might be trying to expand his value region a little bit.
And a spicy king of spades on the river. Straights get there. Flush gets there. We see a check from Daniel. Tell you, there's a bit of a hush falls over when there's a 5-figure pot on the river. Check, check. Oh, Doug gets there with the king. Really interesting hand there. 2 premiums. King Jack suited. So Doug flopped an open ender. Didn't make his straight, but he did hit the king when it was good for a win.
I'm a little surprised to see Doug not go for a value bet there on the river after hitting the king.
Yeah, there was
Daniel should have, some queens in his range that will call the river bet. But Doug taking a little cautiously there, deciding to check back with his top pair.
Yeah, maybe missed a value bet there. Ooh, over bet from Doug on the left here in position. Takes it down. Okay. So Daniel got off to a good start. He's up about 50K. But seems like Doug has won his fair share of pots the last 7 or 8 minutes here. But we got a battle today. They're both players are throwing punches. Friday's first online session was a little tough to watch, like a boxing match that was one player was taking a lot of shots. This one, very competitive so far. The micro stakes screen name makes me smile a little bit.
Yeah, Doug created this account for his bankroll challenge where he was trying to run it up to $10,000 playing some of the lowest stakes offered on WSOP.com, and he's kept that screen name since.
Yeah, Doug Polk has worn many hats in the poker community. He's the best heads-up player at one time. Then he was a massive Twitch streamer. Then he was a YouTuber, and then he was a crypto YouTuber for a while. He's done many things. Also, just notice you guys on the left, you see how the pot sizes are a little bit awkward. Rake is being taken out of every pot, but WSOP.com is going to give that back to the player. So it is currently being raked, but all the rake does get refunded, and after the match is over, they split the rake evenly. So no rake in this heads-up match. 3-bet from Daniel on the right takes it down. So Ricky, I gotta tell the folks is I booked a bet on Daniel, and 45 seconds later, you slid into my DMs and said, "You got any more of that action, kid?" You were looking to get a lot of money down on Doug Polk at a 4-1 odds. So you think the true odds, obviously, the value was on Doug here.
Yeah, Doug is definitely a heavy favorite in this match. Daniel himself has said that as well. It's really tough to judge exactly how big of a favorite. I know I have some friends who have run some variance calculators and all that fancy stuff to try and figure it out. But unless you really know what the win rate Doug has in this match, it's hard to come up with that number.
Sizable river spot for both tables. Doug bets both rivers. Gets snapped. A7 surely good. Doug scoops a 11K pot there. Now we look to the left. Bit of a smaller pot, but a similar river size here. Takes it down. 2 for 2 for Doug Polk. Yeah, when I booked the bet on Daniel and 45 seconds later you were asking for some more action, I was like, uh-oh, I got the bad side of it. I don't even have to pretend anymore.
I didn't want to book the action against you. I just wanted to make sure you knew exactly what you were doing.
Thank you, Ricky, looking after my personal bankroll. 3-bet pot here on the left side. Not surprised to see. What do you think about this size on an ace-jack-8 board? I think we would lean towards a bigger size often as the 3-better on this board. What do you think about that, though, Ricky?
Daniel mentioned that he had a strategy based off of using a 20% size and a 75% size, and he himself is going to mix up his strategy a little bit on boards like this to kind of throw Doug off a little. He doesn't want to use the same size every single time, and that's a big trend amongst the high stakes community these days too.
Well, he hasn't chosen that 75% option. Oh, overbet on the right here. The spot we have seen that bigger size from Daniel is on these rivers. He's really introduced that into his game. 12K pot on the left. Turn went check, check. Okay, big bet here on the river from Daniel. There's a 3-bet pot pre-bet on the flop. Ace-jack, top 2. Gets value paid off there. Interesting hand there, Ricky. Did you see that one? Raise 3-bet. Daniel checks the turn with top 2 on the paired board.
Yeah, it's okay to check the turn there. More likely to bet, but I'm happy that he decided to go for more value on the river. Typically, it's a hand that I would probably triple off. You know, bet the flop, bet the turn, try and get it all on the river, and expect Doug to call with just an ace a lot of the time.
Let's take a quick look at this one. Raise 3-bet call. So Daniel is ace-jack here. Bets the flop to a small size. Decides to check the turn. So you're saying, do you favor a bet there with the ace-jack on that turn 8?
Yeah, I think my hand is too strong to be checking the turn with. If I had just an ace without the jack in my hand, you know, like an ace-10 sort of hand, that's probably the strongest hand that I'll decide to check back with. But Daniel playing it a little more cautiously than I would have.
At least he got that river value. Decent bet from here. Oh, yeah, Daniel gets king 5 paid off. Okay, we're seeing some nice 5-figure pots go to Daniel here in this last little flurry of hands.
Yeah, it's nice when you make top pair in a heads-up match. Makes it that much easier.
I believe he had top pair and a flush draw in that hand there at one point. 3.5K in the left. It's funny. These numbers, we become numb to them as we're watching the match. When you take a deep breath and you're like, wow, there's $3,500 in this pot on the left side of the table. Like, this is crazy high stakes poker. .65% size in position here from Doug Polk. Gets a call, ace-10. Nice value bet there. Man, really even day so far for these two. Looking at the numbers, Daniel's up small, but it's very close to break even so far today. Who's gonna this is a new trend, I think, right? In the poker world. We had Phil Hellmuth versus Antonio Esfandiari. That was great coverage. One of my favorites. Phil Hellmuth's one of my favorites. Goes 3-0, man. Did you see him? He 3-0'd Antonio. You love to see that from in my opinion, the GOAT. You know, other people have
Legend,
opinions
one of the
on
best.
that. One of the best, man. He's got the 1,000,000 bracelets. People give Philly boy a hard time, but
you can't argue with success in poker, especially when you've done it for that long.
He just crushes. He just crushes. You know, there's a lot of internet nerds with say he's not a good poker player. You know, at some point you got to say scoreboard, kids. And I've been running up the scoreboard for many years. That's what Phil Hellmuth's been doing. Who's next, though, man? We should get some legends out in the where's the Dwan versus Ivy heads-up match?
Stay tuned.
Ooh, look at this smaller 3-bet size from Doug Polk on the right here. Do you read anything into that?
No, some players like to use a smaller 3-bet size when the stacks get a little deeper. It allows them to 3-bet a few more hands in there, and that's probably the strategy that Doug is going with.
Paired board here with the 8s. Daniel calls. Okay. 15K in the middle. 3-bet pot. Polk bets the flop. Daniel flats in position. 6 of diamonds on the turn. Oh, this is bringing back memories from the quick fold from Daniel. That was giving me flashbacks to the 9-7 hand on Friday.
Yeah. This is a very small detail in the whole grand scheme of things, but you saw Doug use a half pot sizing there on that paired board in a 3-bet pot. We've often see Daniel use a very small 20% sizing, and we're going to see if that's a continuing trend for these two players as the match goes on too.
Updated results. Couple 4-bet pots go Daniel way. He's up 61K on the session. In the match, he's down 40K. So, I mean, these two are within one buy-in here. It's very close so far. Did you end up getting some action down, Ricky, on Doug Polk? Did you find somebody?
No, I didn't want to bet this match. I do think Doug is a very heavy favorite. Probably a good price to take at 4-1 here. But I just wanted to be a spectator. I wanted to enjoy this. I'm a huge poker nerd myself, and I was just happy to see this battle go down.
5K pot on the left here. Oh, overbet from Daniel. Big overbet. 10K into 5. Double pot, he says. Spicy.
I don't think Doug expected 2x the pot here on this king turn, but Daniel does pull it out.
Look at this, a check call on the 2x pot turn.
Now will he follow it up again on the river?
$25K in the middle. Oh, trip 4s from Doug Polk.
What a river for Doug. He was praying that Daniel would have gone all in there.
We need to ask Daniel about that in our post-game interview. I have a feeling like he got there. I feel like Daniel had some sort of king-queen or something. My goodness. Massive river card. Spikes the 4. Check raise from Daniel on the left. Guys, stay tuned. We do have a post-game interview with Daniel Negreanu. Every time he plays, he's agreed to come talk to us for a couple of minutes, which is very gracious of him, especially on Friday when he lost hundreds of thousands of dollars and we battled through some Skype technical issues. Some people said that was the best part of the show, was Daniel raging about the Skype, though. 2 big pots here. 7K on the left, 4 on the right. Oh, the cute little 4 is good on the right side of the table for 4K. 4th pair takes that down. Daniel bets the turn on the left. Doug flats the turn in position. Wet Broadway board here. Okay, smaller river size from Daniel here. from some of the earlier large overbets we've seen.
I'm a little surprised to see this size by Daniel. Definitely on the smaller side. And how will Doug read into this?
Oh, a shove, overbet shove on the river. Doug says all of it.
Respond to this.
Wow, massive raise here against the small size from Daniel. If Daniel finds a call, this will be the biggest hand we've seen, I believe. Wow. Does give it up. Big, big shove from Doug Polk there. What is that a bluff from Polk? What's your gut tell you, Ricky?
I would say if he was bluffing, that's a pretty good spot to bluff. Exploitatively, you don't want to read into the sizing too much, but I felt a little bit of weakness from Daniel there. Check raising the flop, small on the turn, small again on the river. Not a bad spot for Doug to try and exploit if he did have a hand to bluff with. Just
could have taken the bear ace of spades and gotten naughty for sure. You know, maybe he just had the nuts. Again, we're just making our best estimates here. Nobody has whole card coverage at all to this footage. Small size from Daniel on the right. And again, Polk finds a raise against a small size from Daniel.
Yeah, we see Daniel leading the turn here once again after the bottom card pairs. We've seen him do this earlier, Doug with the raise, and this time Daniel doesn't have a hand to continue with. I'm happy to see Doug go with those raises on the turn, though. A lot of times you're unfamiliar with a turn lead, not really too sure how to play against it just because it doesn't happen too often. But Doug playing pretty aggressively versus those turn leads and raising a bunch of times.
It's been a good little 20 minutes here for Doug Polk. We'll get the updated results soon, but you can see his stacks start to grow at the top of the table. But remember, Doug was the one reloading early at the start of the session when Daniel got off to a good start.
Another overbet by Daniel here on the queen turn. This is fun. I'm happy to see Daniel do this. Yeah. He's the one who kind of created small ball poker along the way, using small sizes throughout his entire career. Now he's mixing it in there, using some of these larger sizes in his game. Makes him that much tougher to play against.
That's right. I mean, I remember those 2005 YouTube videos from Daniel Negreanu talking about small ball. Overbet from Doug on the left. Okay, I feel like momentum. You can feel the wind shift a little bit. Momentum is back in Doug Polk's corner here. Okay, interesting. Single raise pot on the right side. Doug Polk c-bet. Daniel check raised the flop. Let's see if he finds a turn barrel here. I feel like he's going to. Big turn barrel coming. There it is, 4K. Snap fold gets it through.
Shout out to the almost 10,000 viewers we have on YouTube right now. We see you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in chat. The action on the table is going very fast, but we'll be sure to take note of you guys as well.
Oh, 10,000 folks on YouTube? My goodness.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. What's up, everybody? Again, if you want to sub to the channel here, GG YouTube channel, subscribe. every time these two play, there will be coverage on this channel. So this can be your spot to watch this epic heads-up match.
This is my first time broadcasting on YouTube. Most of my work was done over on Twitch, and everyone had a screen name. Here I'm seeing people with their real names in chat, and it's like, oh.
All right, we're getting updated results. Daniel, a good start early in this round. It has slipped away. It has flipped. He is down on the session. Small loss so far. He's down 27K, which means total in the match, he's down 128. Those results on the screen are updated and correct. Two big pots here. 10K on the right side of the table, 8 on the left.
Another small bet here by Daniel on the turn.
Doug Polk check calls the small size. Just a complete brick on the river. There we go. Over bet. Snap fold. Big pot for Negreanu. So far, it seems like Daniel's small betting the flop a lot, small betting the turn, and then he just loads up the cannon and fires this massive overbet on the river.
No, that's good to see, though. If you use a lot of those small bets, you need to be able to back it up on future streets with some larger bets to get value for your big hands and really put the pressure on your opponent if you're bluffing. You see mistakes that a lot of players make where they only use that small bet on the multiple streets and they don't back it up with the big one. So I'm happy to see Daniel use these larger sizings as he does again here on the left.
Speaking of the big one, 12K on the 8 of clubs. I love it. Doug Polk's deep in the time bank here. And I'll tell you what, a couple of times he's ventured deep in the time bank here. He has found a river shove. Not this time. Daniel takes that one down and sits out. We're 1 hour in. Could just be stretching his legs, getting a little bit of water. 1 hour into the match. It's very close. And I'll tell you what, Daniel fans have to be pretty excited about the adjustment they've seen. You know, Friday, a lot of people in the poker community were saying it's over, baby. This thing's all over. I don't think so, man. Seeing what we're seeing here right now, Daniel with a quick little sit out. We're just going to take a quick break, you guys. He's just grabbing some water. Probably going to be back in 1 minute or so. Thank you for joining us. What a start to this session. Ricky, 1 hour in. Sum it up for us. How's it going so far?
I feel like Daniel's made a lot of great adjustments so far. I've seen him use a lot of bigger bets. Yeah, sometimes he's still using the small bets a little out of place, but I'm glad that he's making this progression. You know, not only is this great for him in this heads-up challenge alone, but as a poker player and as a fan of Daniel's, it's great to see him do this to improve his game, because in all the events that he'll play in the future and all the high rollers that he'll enter, all the big cash games he'll play, he's going to become a much better player. And I think he knew that coming into this match.
Yeah, I believe he was quoted earlier this summer. I don't want to take he said, I want to play poker till 90 or something like that. We might have 40 more years of Daniel Negreanu in the poker world. And they're back in here, you guys. So far, very close results on the day. They just sat back in. Daniel did this a couple times on Friday. Just a quick sit out, getting some water, stretching the legs. And here we go. We're back. Three-bet pot here. Monotone board on the right side of the table. 2 3-bet pots happening at the same time here. Ricky, man, we're going to have some fireworks here this next hour. We're going to have some big swings here. Ace of diamonds on the turn. 3-bet pot, flop is bet. Who's is Doug feeling better in position here? Does he have the stronger range?
It's pretty close here, especially when the ace pairs. Typically, these monotone boards are very tough for the out of position player to play. But Daniel signaling some strength there and betting twice.
Takes that one down. Our eyes turn to the left. Another 3-bet pot, and pot, says Doug Polk here on the 4 clubs turn. And that one. So they each split 1 3-bet pot for you, 1 3-bet pot for you.
Seems fair.
Daniel Negreanu. They're deeper on the right side of the table, obviously. Starting stack was 40K. Doug had to reload a bunch of money at the start, but then he took over some momentum. So it's very close so far today. Very, very, very close. It's been a good competitive match here. Got 1 hour left to play today. Small, cute river bet here from Daniel. Single raise pot. Flop went check, 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 check on the turn as well. Ricky, did you venture into the 200, 400 streets recently?
Not recently. It's been about a year or two now since I played as high as 200, 400.
What are the biggest streets you've played this year?
This year, probably around 50, 100. There were some big games running, especially over the World Series in the last couple of months.
3-bet pot here on the left. King 9-3. You would think this board would favor Doug, being the 3-better pre. Daniel probably lacks the ace kings, the aces, the kings. But he does call the flop bet. Pot growing. This turn's kind of brick. Brings in the backdoor clubs. Again, small size from Daniel on the turn here. In position. Ooh, really interesting river. Snap check from Doug. And Daniel checks back. Oh, the ace queen finds the ace. I'll tell you what, man. It seems like Mr. Polk has hit some clean river cards here. You know, did Daniel just get screwed there with king queen or king jack or something? We'll never know, but
yeah, we saw Doug hit that 4 on the river when he made trips after Daniel overbet. Now he hits the ace on the river here. Could have had the best hand prior to the river, but that ace definitely helped him.
Some clean river cards help for sure. Got an hour left to play today. We're about halfway through. So far, I mean, Daniel fans have to be, has he put up a big number so far today? No, it's very close to break even. But there's been some adjustments. There's been some pep in his step. It really feels like he did some work the last couple of days to fix up a few heads-up leaks. He's playing much, much better than he did on Friday. Okay, river bet from Doug on the right side of the table. Talk to us a little bit, Ricky, about the mental game of heads up. If you're playing a competent opponent, you can go on these massive downswings, even as a skilled player, correct?
Right, I mentioned earlier that if both players are even in skill, it's not uncommon for a player to go down 10, 20, 30 buy-ins over a 25,000 hand stretch. So you are going to see big swings, but I don't think either of these players are really focusing too much on that. Once they're sitting down at the table, the money and dollar amounts kind of go away. You're playing with, this is how many big blinds I have, this is how many buy-ins I have on the table, and they kind of just go from there. I can speak from experience that it doesn't matter if you're playing a 2-5 cash game or a 50-100 cash game. Once you're sitting down, the chips are on the table. It's just, this is how many big blinds I have, and we're going to try and play to the best of our ability.
Yeah, and speaking on, the mental game, on Friday when Daniel was getting whacked for hundreds of thousands, everyone in the chat is like, oh, Daniel's going to be unraveled. Daniel can't recover or whatever. But even after losing a massive amount, he did a post-game interview with us. He was very mild-mannered after we got the Skype working. But it looked like he was in a good mindset to make some adjustments, and it really didn't look like it phased him. So, and sure enough, today we've seen like he's come back strong.
Yeah, I played a bit with Daniel, especially in the high stakes scene, and he always seems very even throughout the entire session, whether he's up or down. In big tournaments, it doesn't phase him whether he gets a short stack early, and that's a really good skill for a poker player to have, to be able to navigate these situations and stay pretty calm throughout of it, just so that, if you let your emotions get the better of you, you start making decisions that might not be as optimal. So for players like Doug and Daniel here, they know and they have a lot of experience that this is a long match, and they're going to have to play their best throughout the 25,000 hands to have a chance to win.
And let me check my notes here. Oh yeah, I have this written down. Daniel Negreanu is very, very rich. So
that helps too.
Having a couple, having some millions in the bank account helps with the swings. Let's just say he's not hurting for financial need. But there it is possible. I mean, they're playing 200 and 400. There could be, either player could throw up an L of that 7 figures for sure, very easily. 3-bet pot on the right here. Interesting Broadway kind of texture here. Small size from Doug. Ooh. Raise in position from Daniel. Gets a quick fold. Okay. Nice raise there. Guys, thank you for joining us on YouTube. Lots of people watching the match here. We appreciate you. Appreciate you for tuning in. If you want to hit the subscriber button every time this match goes on, we will have coverage here on this YouTube channel. Ricky, what's it? Nobody limps buttons heads up. Nobody does that. Is that not a thing? Proven by math, wizard science.
At this stacked up, you mostly see players go with the raise. They are getting their rake back in this format, so limping is not a terrible option, but you do see most players just go with the raise as their standard strategy in these heads up matches.
4 hearts on the river here in the left small pot. Okay, action's chilled out here a little bit. Some smaller pots being exchanged. So far on the day, you guys, it's about even. Daniel's down a tiny bit so far today, but it's very, very close. Ooh, river flush. Doug turning the 9-8 no heart into a bluff there. Let me see this ace-ace-9 board. Daniel going with a... Oh, this is cute. Look at this, man. 400 bet. Small check raise. This is as cute as it comes. Gets it through.
It's tough to be facing such a small raise and have to let go of your hand there.
Yeah, when you just c-bet some sort of 10-6 off or something and can't find a float. Very interesting. If I'd say the pace of play is overall a tiny bit slower today, which I kind of like from Daniel. On Friday, decisions were coming in really quickly. You know, the faster you play, I think Doug is more accustomed to this arena. And I think just slowing the game down a tiny amount, just really thinking through your decision, I think that does favor Daniel. And I think we're having less hands per hour today than we did on Friday, which I'm actually pretty happy to see. Daniel is using that time bank a little bit more today for sure. I think if Daniel just mashes the buttons and plays super fast, that's just going to play into Doug's expertise. Okay, another pot for Daniel on the left there.
Yeah, for those who haven't seen me in the content streets for a while, I'm rated GTO on all social media. You can check me out there if you're not familiar. And yeah, I've worked with Kevin a bunch on, both while we were on Team Run It Up and also doing a bunch of commentary, such as, some World Series stuff, some Aussie Millions broadcasts, and it's always a great time.
We always have a few laughs for sure. Many hours spent broadcasting with you, Ricky. Okay, turn goes check, check on the right side. Ace of clubs on the river. Small bet snapped. Okay, queen jack. Jack does play. Polk went for the small value bet with queen 9. Daniel
yeah, and sometimes that happens. You go for a value bet with some of those slightly weaker hands and you run into a better one, but that's going to happen. And I always say, if you're not value cutting yourself in, just some of the time, then you're probably not value betting enough in those situations.
Ooh, 2 3-bets from Polk on both tables. Tell you what, the value cutting yourself in poker, if you were to rank emotional pain, it's very high up there.
It's up there, yeah.
When you're value betting and you get called by a better hand, it is a little bit destructive to the morale. Okay,
it's even worse when your opponent takes a long time to call too. It's like, man, I thought I had the best hand here the entire time.
3-bet pot on both tables. Doug Polk gives the one on the left up. Small size from Daniel in position on the right. Doug has not been folding very much to these small sizes, and there we go. He sticks in a healthy check raise up to 8,500. Oh, massive pot growing here. Daniel quickly peels the large check raise. Queen of spades on the turn. 25K in the middle.
Doug is the 3-better in this spot and chose to check raise this Jack 8-7 board.
16K bet on the turn. A hush falls over. Very key spot here. Oh, gives it up. Big pot for Doug Polk. 3-bet pre-check, raise the flop. Big size on the turn. Takes it down. One of the bigger turn pots we've seen today. My goodness. You got it. So far, Ricky, you like what you see from Daniel today, though. You're happy with the adjustments.
Yeah, I saw someone in chat ask that too, and I think Daniel played pretty well the first match. Some things didn't go his way, but definitely much better here in this second match. I love that he's mixing the use of sizings and really incorporating a lot of overbets in spots that he really needs to. He's trying to incorporate a strategy where he's using a lot of these small bets on the flop, like we see on the right table here. And it's good that he's backing it up with some bigger bets on turns and rivers.
Another
and
big
this might be
turn
one of
pot
them
here. Yeah. queen of hearts on the turn. 3-bet pot. Daniel used that small flop sizing. Decides to check the turn.
And here we go. Overbet on this turn here. 1.5 times the size of the pot.
Oh, turn goes check, check on the left. And now there's 4 to a straight on the board, 10 being the nuts. Doug Polk does have a lot of 10s in his range, and there he goes with an overbet. Does Daniel check enough 10s on this river? Big overbet, 17K, gets it through.
Did not expect to see the overbet from Doug there on the 4 straight board. Could be some sort of exploit that he's using against Daniel, because I do think it's very hard for Daniel to be calling a hand there that's less than a straight when Doug goes that big.
And does Daniel check many straights on that river? It
he
feels like
can.
He doesn't. It feels like he can, but in that spot after check, check, it really feels like he did not have a lot of straights in his range. Ooh, sizable pot on the right here. Another straighty board. We got a dogfight here, Ricky. Big bet in position from Daniel. Okay, check call. Spicy river. Flush and the board pairs. And ace 10 is good. Check, check. Nice value bet on the turn there by Daniel Negreanu with the ace 10.
Kind of weird though. I'm not sure if he was value betting by going to that size on the turn.
That's what it struck
his hand
me
improved on the river, and he decided to check back. So it was kind of in between there. I wasn't too sure if he was value betting or bluffing there.
Regardless of the purpose, it worked out as a value bet, getting value from the queen 7. It's kind of like in golf when you shank a shot, but it's like a good miss. You know, it works out well. Check call from Daniel on the left. So far, I think Daniel fans have to be a little bit happy here, because I tell you what, Friday was rough. That first online session was looking bleak. There wasn't much sun in the sky, but the fact that some adjustments have been made, you know, he might throw up a small loss here, but it looks like we got a competitive match. There was some timelines where Doug just spanks him every session and kind of runs away with this thing, but I think from what we've seen today, maybe we avoid that timeline. 5K pot here in the right. Daniel checks back, and a very interesting 6 of hearts on the river. Half pot from the Vanessa Selps lookalike, Doug Polk.
Doug using a size where he can still value bet hands like 2 pair, doesn't have to just be a straight here on the river. There it is. That's the 2 pair.
Bottom 2 pair gets a nice value bet paid off. Nice thin value from Doug Polk there. Well played. And the 9-6 is also good on the table on the left.
Yeah, on those 4 straight boards where ranges are still pretty wide, you have to be willing to go for some value with some weaker hands, like that 2 pair that Doug had.
Guys, we got another treat for you. Thank you for watching the show. We appreciate it a lot. This has been very key storytelling in this saga that's developing for sure. Also, we got another free roll happening on GGPoker. A free roll. Bunch of $55 Battle of Malta tickets up for grabs. It's going down. It starts in 8 minutes, and there is no late reg. This time, the password is Family Feud. No, it's not Family Feud. It's just Feud. Just Feud. Feud. In reference to the high-stakes feud that we see here today. Yep. Go to GGPoker. Go to the free roll section. There's a free roll. There's 5 $55 tickets on the line. And the password is Feud. Again, you're denied these great free roll opportunities, Ricky, by your location and country of choice. Man, I picture, the world's been a little tumultuous this year. I feel like if we get online poker legal everywhere, that could stop war. That could stop polarization of politics. I feel like, the sun
You're saying
will look
online poker can stop war.
Online
That is
poker
strong.
might be the key. Everyone might just relax a
That's
little bit.
strong.
If everyone can go and play the $11 daily, I feel like everyone would be getting along a little bit better. Kevin for President 2024. I'm running on the platform of legal online poker. The birds, their songs might be a little more cheerful. Climate change stops all of a sudden. Okay, all right. We might say it's just frustrating that you can't play online poker with me. Paired board on the right here from Daniel. 3-bet pot. Big bet. Okay, this is unique. He usually has been going with that smaller sizing. This time he goes with the 6,500 on the 8-8-3. Ooh, big pots here on both tables. Wow, this is key. We're going to see a turn bet here on table number 2, the right side. No, he decides to check. I really fear for Daniel in these spots when, I don't know if he's checking a lot of strong hands. It seems like when he's been checking in some of these big turn spots, he's been check folding.
And I noticed Daniel used a pretty large size on the flop too. Decides to go with 75% the size of the pot instead of his typical 20% size. So, because of that, that might lead to some more checks on this turn.
Yeah, there we go. Check folds. We've seen that a couple times in these 3-bet pots. Maybe Daniel not checking enough strong hands on the turn.
Yeah, it's tough to really say because it's still a pretty small sample of hands, but it's definitely something to be aware of.
Both 3-bet pots slip away from Daniel there on both tables. So Doug Polk, slow and steady here. Have been a lot of fireworks the last 25 minutes. There's been some juicy pots, but not quite the pain we saw on their first session. But Doug Polk has slipped into the lead here in this session, widening that margin a little bit. Turn goes check, check on the left. 4 clubs. Queen 8, third bet, gets it paid off. It is good. Nice value bet there from Doug Polk. Momentum, has been pretty steady Eddie here, but the last couple of big pots have gone towards Mr. Micro Stakes Doug Polk. Oh, again on the right side, we saw this earlier on a similar high paired board. Daniel bets the 1 big blind. Polk comes in for the really cute check raise here. He did the same thing on a double ace board earlier. Oh, and the 3-bet on the flop from Daniel Negreanu says enough of this.
Definitely don't see this that often. 3-betting the flop on a queen 8 board.
Is this value most of the time, or is, oh my goodness, a very fun hand here. What do you think? Does Daniel have the queen, Ricky?
This might be some street poker being played here. three betting the flop. Decides to check the turn.
The check turn makes me think he does not have a queen, but we'll see. 9 is an also interesting card.
Yeah, you see a lot of the check raises that come in might be around that Jack 10, 10-9 region. Now the overbet on the river by Doug.
What a wild street poker hand we have here. Gives it up.
One of the more interesting game trees that these two players have brought themselves down. 3-bet on the flop, checks on the turn, and then the overbet on the river.
Let's take a look at that one again. That was exciting. It seems like the 3-bet on the flop from Daniel did not have a lot of substance.
Might have just gotten a little tired of Doug putting in that small check raise against his 1/5 pot size bet.
Let's run this one back. Look at this. Check, bets a big blind, small check raise, and then you see the re-raise, the large 3-bet, called. Then the turn goes check, check, and then we see the overbet from Polk. What a hand that is, my goodness. And Doug Polk is the victor once again.
Yeah, if Doug has any queen in that spot, definitely warrants a big bet on the river. It's a little tough to see what bluffs he might have, so that's something if we can get Doug online at some point, that's a good question to ask him.
We get the Daniel interview, man. If we could get
do.
the Doug interview as well, that would be pretty special. But that is a tough hill to climb, perhaps. 3-bet pot on the left. Updated results, you guys. Daniel is down 31 grand on the session. It's not updated. There, it should be good. Daniel is down 31 grand on the session, meaning he's down 132 in total in the match. 3-bet pot on the left. Daniel was the 3-better. Checks the flop. Three bet on the right as well. We need some influx of hands from Daniel here. Big pots on both. Oh, no. Jack
Daniel
10.
gives up there with the Jack 10. I'm pretty surprised to see him, check the flop with that hand. Yes, definitely, some checks in there with that open-ender. But if you go for it on the turn, I feel like that's one of those hands you have to follow through on the river because it's tough to win with Jack high there.
I'm not a heads-up expert. It feels like mistakes were made in this hand. Maybe multiple.
Yeah,
Ace-Jack raise. What's that? Maybe. I'm leaning towards highly probable. Raise button, 3-bet Jack 10, checks the flop, and then bets the turn, and then checks the river. Gets the Ace-Jack to showdown and win. Let's run through that one more time. So Doug Polk raises Ace-Jack, 3-bet from the Jack 10, call. Flops a really good hand, decides to check. Goes check, check, turn queen, bets. That bet gets gobbled up by the Ace-High, and then doesn't go for it on the river and allows the showdown. How would you change Daniel's hand there? Would you just bet the flop every time, Ricky?
Flop can be out of decisions, pretty mixed there with the Jack 10. It's still mostly bet in my opinion. But once you start betting the turn here, I feel like you have to go for it on the river very often just because your hand doesn't have a diamond in it. If your opponent had some sort of flush draw in his hand, you can get those to fold as well. And all these ace high hands get put in a very, very tough spot if you're going for bets on the river. And I think Doug's range does have a lot of these ace highs, maybe some smaller pairs in it when it goes check, check on the flop. So if I'm in Daniel's shoes, I might have to put in a healthy river bet to try and win that pot there.
Maybe a spot for an overbet bluff, perhaps.
Yeah, definitely could have been a spot to go for a big river bet to take it down. I'm a little sad not to see it though, because
Queen
Doug
9
in a tough spot.
Queen 9, no good. I think heroed by the pocket threes of Doug Polk. And you can feel Doug is getting his groove back again, man. You can feel it. Momentum in Doug's corner. He's opening up quite a lead on the session now. Daniel was fighting, keeping it close. But the last 30 minutes have been all Doug Polk here.
That's quite the river call from Doug on the left again. You have threes. You're looking at 5 overcards to your pair on the board, and you're able to make that hero call.
Can we run the pocket threes, Isaac? I would love to take a look at that hand. That hand was happened in the blink of an eye, but definitely an interesting one we can look at again. All good. It was a nice hero call from Doug with the pocket threes. King 9. You can feel the table shift a little bit. The gravity is all going one way here, Ricky. Is this?
Yeah, but it's not that big though. You know, it's a buy-in or
saying,
buy-in and a half.
If this was an NBA basketball game, I would call a tee. I think I'd call a timeout. Stretch the legs, sit out for 2 minutes, gather your breath. You know, the other player's making a run, a timeout. Call the timeout. Ricky, of course, a big fan of basketball analytics. We discuss it very often. Fascinating subject.
I placed my first ever sports bet the other day, and it was quite exciting.
How much was it?
I typically stay away from these sorts of things, but you know, I've been finding some pretty weird things to gamble on over the last few weeks.
Okay. Medium-ish pots on both tables. King 7. Oh, nice value bet from Doug Polk there. Gets the second pair weak kicker paid off by something worse from Daniel. And some very clean, decisive, well-played poker from Doug Polk right now. Overbet from Doug Polk on the right. Okay, big pot on the right here. Overbet from Doug. Call from Daniel. 5 on the river.
I would expect the check from Daniel here, and then if Doug does decide to bet, I would imagine it's somewhere anywhere from like 80% the size of the pot all the way to an all-in size on this run out. And there it is. There is the all-in by Doug.
Wow. Massive all-in shove. 3 times the pot on the river.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the sizings that Doug can choose. Of course, no spoilers. I did not watch this action beforehand. This is live, and this is an all-in for over 3 times the size of the pot by Doug.
And Daniel is in the tank.
If Daniel's sitting here with 1 pair of kings, this is as tough of a spot as it could be for him.
He's sitting here with King 10. He's just hating his life.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to get run over, but it's such a big bet. 3 times the pot.
Now, we did see Daniel take, in that live session, take a little bit of time to call with a very strong hand against Doug's overbet all-in. You know, I'm rooting for a call here just to see what Daniel has.
Daniel's in the tank. Thinking, going over the hand. Tough spot, obviously. Calls! King 5, King 7, 2 pair over 2
what
pair.
A cooler.
And Daniel gets stacked on an unfortunate river card.
What an insane cooler.
Oh my goodness. 2 pair over river 2 pair. Doug gets the maximum with the all-in shove. And wow, a small lead turns into a big lead at this moment.
What an unfortunate river card there for Daniel. River's 2 pair, and not just any 2 pair. He has a king in his hand too, which prevents Doug from having more, those stronger top pairs in his hand. And wow. Basically pipped in that spot. King 7, King 5.
Credit to Daniel for taking this so long with such a tough spot. Let's run this one back. King 7 versus King 5. Oh my goodness. Raise, defend. It was a single raise pot that got out of control. They both flopped top pair. check, bet, call. Turn of 8. Overbet calls. River's the worst 2 pair. Faces the shove. Eventually does pay it off. And that is a massive pot for Doug Polk with a clean all-in river size. What a hand we have there. That one's going to swing the tables here. That one's going to swing the tables quite a bit.
Honestly, I think both players played their hand well. Doug had 2 pair the entire way and tried to go for the maximum amount by the river, which very great play by Doug. And then if you're Daniel, check calling flop, standard. Check calling turn, you still have top pair. Your opponent can be bluffing. And then on the river, when you improve to that 2 pair spot, I don't want to say it's an easy call for your entire stack, but it's one that Daniel has to make, and just very unfortunate that he ran into a better 2 pair.
Gets the bad news there. We'll update the results in a second, but it is slowly getting worse and worse. That was a big stacked. Look at those stacks from Doug Polk. 122K on the left, 122K on the right. Got about 22 minutes left in the session. You guys stick around. We're going to have post-game coverage from Daniel Negreanu. We will definitely mention that King 5 cooler, of course. Ricky, as a big Daniel supporter, that hurt, man. That hurt, dude. I got to say, Doug is a great player. The Rivers have been very against Daniel. Very against Daniel. He's running bad in some big river spots.
Even though Daniel's down money from these 2 online sessions, I feel like you have to be a little more confident seeing these adjustments that he's making. Yeah, he's getting himself into some pretty cooler spots, but by watching his overall play, I think you should feel pretty confident in the price that you got Daniel at for this wager.
Updated results are in. And what was a competitive session has gone astray. Daniel's down 115K on the session. In total on the match, he's down 216,000. We've got about 20 minutes left on the day. Let's see if you can rally a little bit and stop the bleeding. Oh, man, WSOP.com got to give my man 2 pair like that on the river versus a very active heads-up player. Lordy, dude. I mean, it's obviously a check call, even versus the all-in. Really no decision. I don't think you can ever consider folding.
Right. The difference there, I would say, is if the hands were switched, does Daniel take the same line as Doug and try to go for all of it on the river? Because that's really where the difference between 2 heads-up opponents are. It's not going to be, these coolers can go both ways, but what sizings do each of the players choose when they do have these good hands? Are they trying to go for the maximum amount against their opponent? And Doug was able to this time, and we're going to see as this match goes on, is Daniel also going to be able to utilize these large sizings like Doug to go for these big bets when he does have a very good hand?
River spot on the left. Daniel calls, sees the bad news, straight for Doug Polk. Pays him off there. You can see the differences in the stacks. Still got some time left, but it might be another 6-figure day for Doug Polk. Perhaps the poker gods are setting us up for some Galfond-esque comeback down the streets, Ricky.
That would be impressive, and that would be great entertainment above all.
Again, we're only about like 800 hands in here, 850 hands. We're coming up to 1,000 hands soon. We are just 3-4% of the way through this match.
Right. These numbers seem staggering, right? Hundreds of thousands of dollars being traded back and forth. But let's say a player goes down by $1 million in the first, couple thousand hands. it is still possible for them to come back if they have the hands remaining.
Oh my God, a poker clinic, a savage value bet from Doug Polk on the right. Can we get that ace-8 up hand again? Doug got max value with third pair there with the ace-8 as Daniel has a hand on the left. That was a sick value bet that happened kind of quickly. Would love to take another look at that one.
Yeah, the pot got checked all the way down to the river, and Doug realizing that his hand is strong enough to go for that 75% size.
We'll see if we can get it, but that was a very sexy value bet there. Okay. Doug Polk continuing his control here. Like you said, Ricky, you know, Daniel's made some great adjustments. It's shown he's willing to change his game. I like the adjustments he's made. But again, the scoreboard.
Yeah, you don't like the result.
Don't like the result. Queen 5 is good for Daniel on the right. It's so as Daniel gets one thrown on the left. It's so I don't know what destiny filling or whatever. It feels just right that Daniel won day one of the live session. Doesn't it just feel right? The legendary live pro smokes him on live, and then it just feels like fate that we've gone to the online streets, and this is Doug's arena. He's really started to dominate. 3-bet pot on the left here. 10-5-4 board, pretty dry. Doug decides to check after 3-betting pre. Ooh, feels like a good card for Doug's range here. After a check. Decides to check it twice. We saw that 3-bet pre-flop, but we've had some passive action post-flop. 4 checks in a row. Interesting river here, though, with the Jack of Spades. Big bet from Daniel. Gets a value bet in with the 2 pair. Huge pot for Daniel on the right. And a big bet on the left. Okay. Daniel Negreanu takes down a couple of juicy ones there. 15 minutes left in the action here.
Just like how you mentioned, Kevin, after the last session, a lot of people screaming it's over. You know, the odds need to be better for Daniel. You know, everyone just calm down a little. You know, they've only played about 1,500 hands so far in this entire match.
Even less than that, I think. Even less.
Yeah, a lot of analysts, or I guess professionals, will say Doug probably had a pretty big win rate coming into this. 10, 15, I've even heard like 20 big blinds per 100 as Doug's win rate. But as this match goes on, that number is going to grow smaller and smaller, and Daniel's chances are going to get better and better. You just hope that Daniel can keep this lead from growing too big so that it gives himself enough margin to come back.
Daniel definitely has the potential to get better as it goes along. Ooh, big river raise from Daniel. And a snap fold from Doug Polk takes that one down. We see a 3-bet on the left side here. Perhaps a good flurry here for Daniel as the day slowly draws to a close. Again, these two might be, you know, Daniel's been playing pretty well. He's gotten smacked in some coolers, but maybe they want to play overtime. Maybe they'll go longer. Three-bet pot on the left. Flop goes check, check. Turn pairs. But as to that point, Ricky, poker Twitter definitely had a bit of a reaction as to they wanted to call it. Some people were ready to call it 600 hands in, but you gotta deal the cards. You can't stop the deal. You gotta play the hands.
It was funny to see after the first live session where Daniel did win that people thought Doug was an even bigger favorite to win the match despite losing that session. So it's always interesting to see what the public perceives and what they think about how both players have played with comparison with the results.
Ooh, small bet on the turn here. River ace. King 5, king 3. They're going to share this one. Are you familiar with the common jingle that goes along with a chopped pot, Ricky?
Oh, yes. Made very famous. Everybody
loves a chopped pot. I believe that's James Hardigan and Joe Stapleton. EPT coverage. All right, guys. Daniel Negreanu down about 100K on the session. Trying to salvage a little bit here at the end of it. It's looking
that
good.
That 3-bet pot was pretty interesting because the board went 10-8 deuce, 10 on the turn, ace on the river, and Doug as the 3-better check called the turn with just king high to try and navigate it to showdown. So very fortunate to end up with the chop pot there, but very interesting line by Doug there to take, check calling the king high.
That was a fun one indeed. Daniel checks the jack of spades river on table number 2. Two-thirds here from Doug Polk. Good enough, good enough. Guys, the next match, next day, next session, going to be Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern on this channel. If you guys want to follow this ongoing drama, just sub to this channel. The thumbs up appreciated as well. Every time these two go at it, we will be here covering the action. 3-bet pot on the right side. I'm telling you, the 4-bet hasn't come up in a while, Ricky. We've been 4-bet light.
We do see a lot of 3-bets here, and both players are willing to take it post-flop quite often during the session.
I like the 4-bet. The 4-bet feels fun. We have yet to see that all-in pot as well. Unlikely here. We saw 2 of them on Friday. 3-bet from Polk on the left. Ooh, 3-bets both tables at the same time and gets the snap fold on both tables. My fellow broadcaster on Friday was talking about this. When you're playing multiple tables of heads up, you can kind of like taunt. You can kind of mess with your opponents a little bit, hitting bet sizings at the same times. And he says there's a lot of meta game that happens when these multiple heads up tables go on. 3-bet pot on the left here on the ace high board. Daniel goes with his small ball size. $11.5K.
Another one of these very small turn bets by Daniel. He went small on the flop, and then again here on the turn, 20% the size of the pot.
Also a juicy pot on the right. Oh! Doug Polk raises the small turn size. On a pretty dry board. This is really interesting here.
Yeah, we've seen this a couple of times by Doug now. He doesn't want to let Daniel get away with these small turn bets. This is a pretty sizable raise by Doug.
Oh, calls. And on the right, we see a river raise as well. 2 massive hands happening simultaneously here. There's 40K on the left. Oh, and King Jack High is going to win that pot. What? King Jack High scoops a 40K pot.
That's insane. Back-to-back pots where King High in a 3-bet pot is the winner at Showdown.
Man, when it's your day, it's your day. Doug Polk. King 10 calls the river correctly as well. And Daniel caught bluffing. 2 massive pots go against Daniel Negreanu here at the end of the day.
Fortunate spot for Daniel there.
Goodness.
He put Doug in a very tough spot on the right there. Doug led the turn and the river with his King 10 for value, and Daniel goes for the river raise, but Doug was not having any of it, making the hero call with the King 10.
Let's run this King Jack hand here. Let's check this one out. This was crazy. A 40K pot that went check on the river. Let's watch this one. King Jack versus King 4 suited. Raises the button. 3 bets. I like that. Calls. 3-bet pot seems pretty good. See an ace 9-4 small size call. We see it do. Oh, Doug went for a raise with King Jack of diamonds here. Daniel calls out of position with the combo draw. Bricks. It goes check, and King Jack of diamonds with the wild value raise by accident on the turn. Ricky, talk to us, man. What a hand of heads up poker that is.
It's so tough for Daniel to really do anything other than probably change his turn size. That's what led to the river spot where Doug's able to check back King High and win the pot. If Daniel chooses a bigger size on the turn, I highly doubt that Doug would choose this King Jack to raise with. And Daniel very well could have just won the pot on the turn, and a pretty sizable too. But him using another very small bet led to Doug saying, this looks kind of fishy. I'm not sure if Daniel has that great of a hand here. So very aggressive play by Doug with the King Jack. And I guess in this spot, it worked out for him.
Wow. And while that was going on, Daniel bet the river on the other. Doug bet the river on the other table. Daniel raises a bluff, and Doug sniffed it out with 1 pair. Oh, all in on the left. 3 bets on the flop. Daniel folds again, and oh no, the session, as it's drawing to a close, has gone against Daniel Negreanu. We were impressed with a lot of things he did, a lot of adjustments he's made, but he's been getting the worst of it here recently. God damn, Doug Polk's just so good, man. He's just so good. Look at these decisions. He's playing.
If you're good enough to value raise King High on the turn, you're probably the best in the world, right?
Man, you can just see this is just why he was so dominant for so many years. Updated results, you guys. Daniel is down 140K on the session. The deficit continuing to grow. Still not outrageous according to the size of the game they are playing. Updated results there. Daniel down 140K. About down $250,000 in the match. Again, there was a long ways to go. I think we could have a dogfight here. You got it, Ricky. You got to love Daniel Negreanu stepping up to this challenge. And a big challenge it is, you know. You got to respect him stepping up to the plate and saying, do you know what? I'm going to take on one of the best heads-up players of all time, and we're going to test ourselves. You got to respect that.
It wasn't so much just about challenging Doug too. I think he wanted to prove to the poker world, not that he has anything to prove to the poker world, but he wanted to show that in a format that he's not very familiar with, he can step up and, just put up a battle, but also improve along the way. I think that's the most interesting part about this whole challenge. How much is Daniel going to improve from before the challenge to the end of the 25,000 hands?
Got about 5 minutes left on the day, you guys. I don't think there is going to be overtime, but of course that is up to the players. Stick around if you enjoyed the show. We got Daniel Negreanu with some post-game commentary as well. We're going to ask him a few questions. And again, it looks like another big L thrown up, but this session feels competitive, while the other one didn't as much. You know, Doug's obviously playing really good poker, but it feels like Daniel has improved even a lot from Friday. What's Daniel's got his team, Ricky. What would you suggest him and his team go over before Wednesday's match?
I think he has to look into playing turns and rivers a little bit better. Yes, he's learned that he can incorporate some overbet sizings in those spots, but maybe I would try and stay a little clear of using too many really, really small sizings, because one, Doug seems like he's playing very well against it. He's putting in some raises in there that's throwing Daniel off, I think. And I feel like that's what's hurting Daniel's chances in the long run. But if he can develop a strategy that incorporates those small bets into his game, he's going to be tough to play against. It's just very hard for Daniel to stick to that game plan for much longer.
Big river decision here on the right. And you can see the stacks of Doug Polk continue to grow. He did have to reload a bunch at the start, but I mean, you can see the visual there. He's sitting on 150K and 140K. Ricky,
I know we're commenting a lot about how, Daniel's struggling right now. It'll be fun to see him get better and come back, but we have to give Doug credit for still being a very high class, high stakes player.
Elite,
right?
Man. Elite, dude. You can see it in the play too. You can just see how good he is.
He took time off the game, but he's been, over the last couple of months since this challenge was accepted, he's gone out and battled some of the best heads up players in the world, and he's fared pretty well. And I don't want to say it's surprising to see, but for someone with such poker skill to take a lot of time off and come back to do it, just as well as he always has been, that's really nice to see too.
This has been fun, Ricky. Again, they're slated to go again Wednesday. Looks like they're going to be playing 2 hours, day off, 2 hours. Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be back for further coverage. Doug Polk continuing his online dominance. Tell you what, I would like to see these guys play a little more live. Isn't the Poker Go studio in Vegas open? Why don't we get them back in there a little bit longer, $3K river pot on the left. Big bet from Daniel.
I feel like a lot of the public thinks that Daniel's edge or perceived edge versus Doug, they're a lot closer in a live environment, but I personally don't think that's the case. Yes, Daniel's more comfortable live, but Doug's played a bunch of live poker himself, and I don't think the win rates are that much different from the live environment to the online environment.
Ace high showdown. Oh, again. Oh, interesting. We see this cute size from Doug on the left. Earlier, it was on 2 paired boards. This time, he's doing it on the monotone board, which is really interesting. I'll tell you why. I recently myself have gotten into Solver World, and the monotone boards and the paired boards have very similar bet sizing. So it's interesting to see him use a similar cute raise on the flop.
And not as much check raising on these monotone boards, I would say. But Doug getting a little fancy here with that small check raise on the flop.
And it looks like this is the last hand here, you guys. Daniel bets 3K into 4. So regardless, maybe it could be some fireworks here on the left table. It looks like another big win for Doug Polk.
Wow, the double check raise on this Queen 9-6 queen board. You don't see that often.
You don't see that very often. And GG is called on the session. Doug Polk has backed up the truck once again, Ricky. Dominating play from Doug Polk here. Another good winning session for him. They're going to call it day off tomorrow, you guys. We got interview with Daniel Negreanu. You know, he took the Friday loss really well. We saw some adjustments. We're going to pick his brain in just a minute here. He's going to jump on. Knock on wood, no Skype issues. But GG, if you guys enjoyed the show, make sure you hit the sub button. We're back Wednesday with more coverage. Every time these guys play, we, of course, will be following the action. Gripping content again. Couple sick coolers went against Daniel Negreanu. The King 5 versus King 7. You know, Polk hit the trip 4s there in that river spot. It just, like, it really seemed like Doug was playing with confidence. But it also seems like the card distribution is in his favor so far.
Yeah, if you're a Doug fan, you have to be loving the results so far. And if you are a Daniel fan, you know, don't worry too much just yet. It's still a very small sample. This lead is still surmountable, but I would just advise, if you're a Daniel follower, that don't be worried just yet. I think he's gonna come roaring back with
You're
some
saying
fireworks on his own.
Keep the hope that Daniel
Yes,
can pull
Kevin
back
Martin.
here. I'm gonna keep the hope, man. I'm gonna keep the hope for sure. We're gonna get Daniel Negreanu on this Zoom call in just a second, you guys. GG. Ricky, this was fun, man. Thank you for your excellent knowledge. You bring the strategy as good as anyone in the game. We appreciate that a lot. This has been a lot of fun, and let's pick Daniel's brain here. Let's pick his brain here. So total results, Doug is up about $250,000 in the challenge, $250,000 US, even a little bit more. Final results here. On this session, Doug won 158K, putting him at 260,000 up so far. Wow. More of the same. Domination from Doug Polk. Again, Ricky, you were saying Daniel's got to work on those. Oh no. Oh no, deja vu, man. I just got a Skype DM from Daniel.
Oh no.
Oh, I got him the link. It's good. We're good. No, I thought we're off the Skype platform. Okay, he's joining us in just a second. Maybe we can get a classic DNegs technology situation. No, it's not happening. We're set up, ready to go. GG's, everybody. Again, sub to the channel. We're back Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. And Doug Polk, the truck is looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good so far. And Daniel Negreanu commentary. Here he is, the man, the myth, the legend. Joining us now. Daniel is in the call.
You guys can see me okay?
Cannot see you. Maybe
I'll click start video. That would work. Whoa, we failed to start video. Please select another video camera. Okay. Well, that doesn't make no sense. It's asking me to select. I always have these stupid problems with technology. Let me see. Logitech Pro, Chroma Cam. Logitech Pro, though, right? This one. Okay. Let me try this again. Oh boy. Oh, let me ask Christian real quick.
we can hear you, Daniel.
Yeah, for some reason it's like not connecting to my camera. It says fail to start video camera. Please select another video camera in settings. Chroma cam? Could that be a thing?
Tell you what, we got you on the call. Let's just audio.
Hold on one sec. Christian, can you hear me? It's saying fail to start the video camera. Please select another video camera. There's two, Logitech Rio or Chroma Cam. Should I switch?
Daniel's got us perfect.
Okay, well, it's not opening because I don't know. So, all right, they can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. We're good to go. Daniel, GG on the session. We had a lot of positive things to say about you. I'm with my co-caster, Ricky, who is a heads-up crusher. He was really impressed with a lot of adjustments you played, specifically the overbet sizing. So generally, how do you feel like everything went today?
Like, honestly, I don't even know what the total was, but I was very happy. Like, I mean, I felt like I ran kind of bad in the last session. When my guy said, no, you ran really bad in that session. And this one, I quite certain I ran worse. So this is the fun part about poker, right? Like, you guys can't see me, huh? Can't see my GG hat on? No, because I have no luck with this freaking internet stuff. But yeah, I genuinely felt pretty comfortable, pretty good. Again, I don't even know what the result was, but I don't think it was good. I think I lost like 4 buy-ins, something like that.
There was an L, so it looks like Doug's up.
It was about 4 buy-ins, I think.
It looks like Doug's up about $250,000, but we're still in the infancies here, and as both of us mentioned, we thought you played really well. Ricky had lots of compliments to give your game and your adjustments. We're going Wednesday again. We did want to talk about, the river card was really unkind to you today. The King 5 hand versus King 7, where you make a bad 2 pair. Do you want to talk to us about that hand a little bit?
Yeah, so that was a tough one, right? I think the board was King 7. Was it King 7-3? Or was King 7?
Yep. King 7 brick.
I know it was 8 and a 5 on the river. So it was like King 7-3, 8-5, right? I flop a king. I think I check call small. Turn, he bets over bets pot. So then, you got a top pair, but you don't have a kicker with it. So you're kind of like, all right, well, let's see what happens, right? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'll reevaluate on the river, right? And then the river's a 5. I'm like, well, there's nothing really to evaluate anymore. I'm like, go ahead, bet what you're going to bet, Doug, and I'll call. And then he goes bombs away, right? And just bets 3x pot. And, obviously that's, you would think that when someone makes a bet like that, it's polarized, right? Where they're going to have some air or they're going to have kings and 5s beat. So kings and 5s right there, it's like, it looks like a strong hand, right? But it's actually just a bluff catcher, right? So I decided to catch a bluff, and he made a very good play with kings and 7s see, here's the thing, he made a good play, but it also required me catching the 5 too, right? So a lot of spots like that is a perfect example where I think obviously if the river's like a queen or a jack and does that, I certainly can't call with just one pair. But so yeah, listen, I'm gonna go over the session again and take a look, but I felt pretty good about it. I'm not gonna read any of the comments because I know that's a big no-no. Right?
That's a good advice for life, man. The comments just ignore them all.
Everybody knows everything in the comments. Like, they didn't see my whole card. They're like, bro, why'd you call him there when he had kings with a queen? Because I had kings with a jack.
The YouTube comments specifically are full of the 1 cent, 2 cent legends that like to give their 2 opinions. So yeah, we're still going. You ready for Wednesday? Ricky, did you have a question about any of the hands? You were mentioning some of the turn plays.
Yeah, hey Daniel, this is Ricky here. I thought you played very well today, and regarding that King 5 hand, very unfortunate. I don't think you could have really done anything else except hit the call button 3 times. One of the hands that I was interested about was when you 3-bet the King 4 of hearts and you turn the combo draw, where Doug decided to raise with this King Jack. What was your thoughts going into the turn there? Why did you decide to use that 20% sizing instead of maybe a larger one?
Yeah, so my thought process was damn when he raised.
Yeah, I know.
My thought process is like, I bet and he raises, and I'm like, damn. And then really all I'm thinking about, all right, is like, I obviously have a lot of outs here to catch. There's not a lot of scenarios where I actually have the best hand with King High there, right? Like, he happened to make a very strong play with King Jack because of my small sizing. Why I did that, I think if you've seen the first, how many hands we played today, I don't even know. I've been using that line somewhat, where I've gone small and 3-bet pots.
Right. Yep.
And so I definitely have a range that does that. And in this case, it felt like King 4 hearts fell into that grouping. But like I said, like he obviously sniffed it out, made a very good raise with, just King High. Too bad I didn't actually have something or hit something, That's like often the case. Like, damn, why couldn't I beat King High? One time, if I can beat King High, I'm in good shape, boys.
Right.
100%. Yeah, both of us agree. I think you played better and ran even worse. So good luck on Wednesday when you guys are getting back to it. It's a very exciting match, and have a good day off tomorrow. We're excited to see Wednesday go down. If you have any final comments, Daniel.
Yeah, no, it's fun. Like I said, I'm going to enjoy going over it again, seeing, always looking to improve and get better and see if there's any sort of big mistakes that I made. And I'm sure, I'll hear about it from comments, but I guess I won't because I don't read them.
Yeah, let your team.
Maybe I'll read them if I win. When I win a session, I'll go read them. But you don't want to read them when you lose.
Yeah, good game, Daniel. Ignore the comments as always. There's just too many idiots on the internet. Good luck on Wednesday. Thank you again. These post-game interviews are so fun for both Ricky and I, who are still
Hopefully
big.
next time we get the camera fixed, because I don't know what that
Well, eventually we'll get up. This was better than last time, though. Eh? This was
I know,
much
I
better.
didn't curse. I really didn't even curse. That's good.
Exactly. Cool. Have a wonderful day off. Good luck Wednesday, and thank you for coming on the show, Daniel.
See you guys.
Good game. All right, Ricky. That's it for our coverage today. Daniel Negreanu, again, we both said played better, ran even worse. There's still some adjustments to be made. Down $250,000. How many buy-ins is that, though? How many buy-ins is that? It's a chunk, but not too many to overcome.
6 or 7 buy-ins easily able to come back from. I would like to thank you and Gigi for having me on. This has been a lot of fun, and it's just like the old days. I miss this, Kevin. We should do it more.
Dude, we have a blast every time. You drop the knowledge. That's just top tier. YouTube, thank you for watching. If you want to watch more, we are back on Wednesday. The storylines. Daniel is down. Can he come back, or the dominance of Doug Polk continue? Doug Polk, man, he's running well, but it looks like he's in the zone. He's up $250,000. The truck is getting full, but can Daniel steal a little bit of money away on Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern? The easiest way to watch the show, just sub to this YouTube channel. Every time they play, we will be covering the action. So for me and Ricky and GGPoker, we wish you all a wonderful evening. And that was a fun match. It was good to see these two go back and forth. That's it for all. Again, sub to the channel Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. See you, Ricky. Maybe we'll see you then. I'm not sure. I'm not sure who's up on Wednesday. We'll make it happen, though. Bye-bye, everybody.